and it blinks. it. I think we're there. It is.
There we are.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Spencer Amansick Podcast. We are live here with our lovely Miss Living Large with Crew. I always mess this up. I have some vision problem, and I'm joined with the lovely. Go ahead, please introduce yourself, my dear.
Yeah. So I go by Live and Large with lcruu. I know it's a weird thing. It's like a weird nickname I've had for a long time, but I also go by Ren. My name's Ren, so that works too. Yeah, I think Spencer and I just connected on like Instagram or YouTube first. I don't really remember, but we've been chasing each other down to make this happen. So
That's true. I remember. So this is how I remember some of our introduction. I remember it was on Instagram at first, right? It was. I think you initially commented on one of my posts. You were vlogging. I think you were on a cruise. You're in the Caribbean, most likely. I remember I was like, wow, like we still have create like for me creators, all over the world traveling or doing fun things or trying to explore, the world is still very cool to me because I'm just like, wow, like everyone's slice of life is different. I remember you commented there. I remember jumping to your YouTube channel and I was like, oh my gosh, full blown creator. This person seems really cool. Let's get connected. That's how I remember it so far. Questions. So I do have a list of questions here for you.
let's
What
do
is
it.
it? What is a creator to you, Miss Red?
Yeah,
What is a creator to you?
I think that I think that's so many different things in a lot of ways. So like you were saying, it could be anything on the internet. So like we're out here, we're traveling, we're podcasting, we're documenting like our experiences. But then for other people, it's like having these like deep journaling like experiences and then they share that with the world in a certain way. And like I feel like I've like run into so many different types of creators that it's like it's limitless. And so the realm that I typically do it in is it's YouTube. And I, like you said, I vlog, a lot of travel, a lot of music festivals, just like fun life experiences. I call it an adventure vlog, but I think that creators really show up in all different ways everywhere.
That's very true. Yeah, I think you've inspired me to switch to more adventure vlogging.
Cool.
Yeah, we have to create a niche here. We have to find what truly sparks your passion, right? Things that
Hmm.
make you really, really happy. What are some channels or some also other creators that you've run into? Have you seen any other creators in the world of music festivals?
Yeah, that's so funny that you ask like that specific question because the last festival that I was at called Electric Forest, um, I knew that there was going to be a lot of other, like YouTube content creators there running around. And it was so funny because we were at this random set at like this beach themed stage. And I just look over in this big crowd and I'm like, I follow that girl on YouTube. And I'm like, she's one of my biggest inspirations. So Emma Capotis is her name. And I followed this girl for years and just like watching, she turned all of her passions, like you're saying, into literally her lifestyle. So she started a podcast a while ago. So she has that. She does like festival vlogs and like tips and tricks videos. And now she's like working with festivals and being like she does interviews at the festivals and just really made her life vision out of her creations, if that makes sense. So I
That
think
makes
that kind
total
of thing
sense.
is
Yeah.
so cool. And the fact that I actually got to run into her, meet her, tell her how much she inspires me, like that's insane to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's famous in the world of like podcasting and like music festivals. So to be able to connect with her one on one in real life was just insane. Other creators that inspire me are like Kara and Nate on YouTube. They do like travel vlogs. They've gone to like over 100 countries now. But also my friends, and they're the way that they show up in the creative world is so different than me. But we're all dancers in this group from Chicago called the Chicago Shufflers, and like seeing them make choreography and share that with the community and things like that. Like the people around me are big inspirations as well.
Thank you so very much. That's cool. That's super awesome. Recently, I'd love to I'd love to see more of these music festival what do you call this, creators. I'm an old man now, so I like to tell that to people. I used to do so many music festivals back in the day, long, long time ago. I would say before I moved to good old Japan, it was one of my favorite hobbies, pastimes to join in with my friends. For example, I went to EDC Vegas a few times, but before that, I was in EDC LA. That's how old I am. And
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's amazing though. That's
I
so
know
cool.
it was a
You're
time.
part of history.
I know, right? I know. So, and there's still a few music festivals still out there. I believe I have a friend in Holland who went to Tomorrowland, I think it's called. Where
Yeah, yeah, that was like just this weekend. It
Yeah,
just passed. I had some friends that went there and I was like, what? Like someday I'll get there.
I was in Amsterdam 2 weeks ago, about
Oh,
two
no
weeks
way.
ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was taking a you have to take a PCR test, excuse me. You have to take a PCR test in order, yeah. 'Cause you have to be careful using that word because
Right. Oh,
they'll blank it out of your they'll take it out of your super silly content. So you have to. So I went to VidCon. So side note, I went to VidCon 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago, a month ago now, and everyone was saying like on stage, and everyone's making YouTube videos, and they're like, yeah, so ever since the panini happened, I was like,
yep.
what the hell's the panini, like what the heck are you talking
You're like,
about?
what am I missing here?
Right, they're like, oh yeah, so then when the panda bear was happening, we couldn't really do anything. The panda bear, like what am I like googling the panda bear, like what is
Right. And there's all these code names. I am right there with you. When I first heard people say that stuff, I was like rewind. I'm like going back in the video. I'm like, what did they say? I'm like the
yeah.
panoramic. Like people say all these weird stuff, like code
Yeah.
words. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it didn't click until like a little later. It was like later in the podcast, later in the episode, later in the video or in the interview where I was like, I think I know what they're talking about now.
You're like, oh, that's what they meant.
Then what are the challenges of being a creator?
I feel, oh my God, that's like such a loaded question. Like I feel like it's hard and it's varies based on your medium, right? But I think the hardest thing is like having people grasp that message almost. So like my friends and family, they're like, "Yeah, we love watching your vlogs." And I'm like, "I love that and I appreciate you all for watching." But it's also like we're talking about we want to encourage people to live their best lives and like all the close friends of mine, they're kind of like in that same I guess lifestyle as I am. So I'm like I want to reach a wider audience of people who like need to hear that, need to like see this and know that it is possible.
Yeah.
And again, that is just with like YouTube and like online media like that. I feel like it is different for every creator and every like type of creator in the different realms and different mediums of creation. But for me, I feel like that's been one of the hardest parts is like reaching an audience that like needs to see it and like wants to stick around.
What do you bring to this creator economy? Right, I love that word because it's what makes us special and unique in this medium of content creation.
Yeah. I think it's funny that you used the word authentic a second ago because that is from the beginning of like my vlogging whatever journey. I'm like I just want to be real and show the reality of it. So like I will like for example, there was this time I was in the UK and we were locked out of our Airbnb. It was like the middle of the night and we couldn't get a hold of the like Airbnb person or like we were trying to call like the Airbnb helplines or whatever and it's like I'm freezing and I'm like in tears. I'm like
Oh
crying.
no.
And so I start recording. And I'm like I'm just going to like I'm making this so real because like this is the kind of stuff that can happen when you travel. And I'm like literally in tears and I'm talking to the camera and I'm like I'm going to leave that in the video because that's the reality of it, you know?
Mm.
And even this, like, I don't have like I'm sitting on my bed. I don't have like a nice studio setup yet. And so this is just how I'm going to show up. You know, I'm just going to
Yeah.
show up authentically with what I've got and just bring my full self, my real self to the table. Because again, like you were saying, I think it's so easy on the internet to, and in this medium, in this community, be like, it's pretend to be something you're not, you know, and everything's very polished. And obviously, when I go through editing a video, I'm editing it, but I do my best to just be real and show the reality of, these life adventures are just like
Yeah.
me as a person. So,
Yeah, that is true. I learned that recently through I went to TwitchCon and I also went to VidCon. They both had